Ankylosing spondylitis, everyone calls it a rare disease, but it's not. Actually, they suspect about 5.8 million people just in the United States alone have some form of spondylitis, but it is highly not understood and therefore not diagnosed as it should be. And there was this belief that forever that only white men could get it. But now they're actually finding that anyone can get it, and when it comes to the genders, it's about 50-50. They didn't know what to look for. So it wasn't until it was like Easter weekend, I played a hardcore game of one-on-one kickball with one of my friends. And the next day we went to New York City to see the circus. And that was the activity that just kind of put me over the edge. I couldn't walk afterwards. My dad had to carry me back from the train that we took because I was living in New Jersey at the time. And I went to the doctor, and he looked at me and said, okay, no 12-year-old is supposed to feel this way. I think you've got ankylosing spondylitis. And they did all the testing they had at the time, and it confirmed the diagnosis. The problem is, back in 1994, they didn't have proper treatment for it. So the actual treatment he suggested was, sucks to be you, and just live your life the best that you can. So that's what I did. And that's the thing about conditions like ankylosing spondylitis, where you're doing great, you have a great day, you may have low symptoms. I have never been without symptoms since I was 12 years old. I'm 41 now. But so all these years of just living in pain and stiffness. But some days are better than others, and then you want to push through on those really good days. The problem is, though, that you end up hurting for a week or two afterwards. It's the pain I was feeling after the renovation, after the move. I mean, I couldn't sleep, which then greatly affected my mental health because I was just in pain like I'd never felt all the time. So, it's this cascade of just, well, you do one thing, which then causes pain, which limits your sleep, which affects your mood, which turns you into a big jerk, which then, I'm a teacher, and I remember one time when things were feeling bad, I was pulled into the principal's office, and he was just basically like, so what's up with the bad attitude? And it's like, well, that's professional. But I'm not going to tell him, because I was, at that time, I was all about, don't tell anyone about AS. They're going to judge you. They're going to think that you're not, you're good enough to do your job. They're going to get rid of you. But that scared me, and, kind of going off in a different direction. But I got accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act so that when things like this happened in the future, when my condition was affecting me at work, they're not going to fire me because of that, because I got it documented. I may completely screw up, and that's fine. Get rid of me, but I'm not going to let go. I'm not going to. I'm not going to let go. Be let go because of my condition. So I know coming out as disabled is not always the easiest thing. It can be scary, but if you do it right, you can get the help that you need. And I got my blue parking placard, and I proudly use it, and everyone knows where my car is. And I don't know why humidity affects pain, but it does. My physical therapist told me there actually was a study, and it has something to do with it wears down the coating on the nerves and this, that, and the other thing. Scientific stuff that I don't quite understand. But yeah, my pain level. I mean, I would say I'm a 6 out of 10. Like that pain scale is so subjective because, one person's 9 might be another person's 5, you don't really know. But, yeah, I mean, for me, honestly, like I go, my days are up and down with pain. I'll feel fine in the morning, and then I'll be hurting by 11. On the days that I might forget to take my meds, holy cow, those are fun days. So, if there's any spondies out there, listening to this, just because it worked for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And just because something didn't work for someone doesn't mean that it's not going to work for you. For me, starches are a trigger. Dairy is definitely a trigger. I should not be eating sugar, but I do because sugar's good, But, yeah, you'll get people in the groups that are like, yeah, all you got to do is just give up carrots and you'll be fine. Okay, sure, if that's what you believe. I'm open to anyone suggesting things. It's the people who I try to watch out for are the ones who say, this is the answer. You will be cured if you do this. And there is no cure. So, I guess, saying I want peanut butter and pickles for my birthday was just a way of saying that I'm still going to enjoy this, and I'm going to make you all a little uncomfortable because that was such a weird request. But that's me. I like to keep people on their toes, and I'm not normal. It's like I try to be as weird as possible. So if they want to know me as the peanut butter and pickle guy, then fantastic. I'll take that. I hurt no matter what I do, but I've always said that I would much rather hurt because of something that I did, like productive. Like I mowed the lawn and now my property looks better. I cleared, a tree fell down and I carved it up into firewood. I'm gonna hurt because I did that, but I would much rather hurt because of something that I did than just the fact that I woke up in the morning.
Hello, welcome to my podcast, Too Much Blunt Joe Suit. I am Joe Suit. I'll be giving my to Chad. He is dealing with I'm going to do this one time. That's ankylosing spondylitis.
Pretty good. Yeah, yes, spondylitis.
The disease over time can cause some of his bones in his spine to fuse. This fusing makes the spine less flexible and can result in a hunched posture. He's also been nominated for Community Cultivator, so huge congrats to that. So let's talk about you moving so many damn times. That you've moved 7 times now?
Yeah, I move around a lot, and right now I'm living in a log cabin that was built in the 1860s. My wife and the rest of my family, I guess, it was kind of a team effort. We all got together and fixed this place up because it was kind of out of date, but now it's livable. We have Wi-Fi and all the indoor plumbing and everything else you'd ever need.
Oh, you didn't keep it old school, like have the bathroom like outside the house?
It does actually have an outhouse. But it's an indoor outhouse, which I didn't know was a thing, but apparently it is. But it was wallpapered. This was the cool thing. It was wallpapered in actual newspapers from the 1860s. So it's got like articles about, hey, Abraham Lincoln visits this place and stuff like that. But it was full of certain words that we are not allowed to use anymore in polite company, and my nephew picked up on every single use of that word. So we're like, I guess we got to take down some of the newspapers.
Oh, no. Well, I guess what's great about newspapers that since they didn't have phones, you could just read whatever is on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to save some of them, but yeah, the N-word popped up just 1 or 2, 9, 12 many times. Yeah, they really like to use that in
you need like you should use like a whiteout.
You know what? That would have been a smart idea. If I had a time machine, I'd go back and just white out, and they'd be asking, "Why is this whited out?" I don't. Well, you see, certain words are written that we don't use anymore.
I don't know. That's a pretty interesting choice too.
Yeah.
Kind of good for the world too. Like we're always changing with language and stuff. I bet your disease didn't exist at the time, or maybe it existed but not.
Yeah. It's been around for. I mean, they've been aware of it for at least 50 years, but they suspect that possibly like JFK had it. He had a bunch of medical conditions, and they think that he possibly had it. Who else is that? Ed Sullivan. They think that Ed Sullivan had it, but again, at this time, they didn't have a name for it. They didn't have a diagnosis, so they just said, "Yep, that guy's sick," and hunched over. But it's ankylosing spondylitis. Everyone calls it a rare disease, but it's not. Actually, they suspect about 5.8 million people just in the United States alone have some form of spondylitis, but it is highly not understood and therefore not diagnosed as it should be. And there was this belief that forever that only white men could get it. But now they're actually finding that anyone can get it, and when it comes to the genders, it's about 50-50. They didn't know what to look for. So yeah, that's kind of what I do as an advocate. I try to help doctors and help people know what to recognize. And and then hopefully they can get their diagnosis and they'll get the treatment, because the earlier you start treating it, the better chance you have of living with it.
Yeah, so like I know your story that you you had it since you were a young kid, but like, you never really did anything. You just kept doing your life, and like you say you did a lot of sports, but you also say you were really bad at sports. But like, so like, what was the turning point where like, hey, something isn't right? Like this pain is not going anywhere, and it's a little different.
Yeah, I was diagnosed. I probably started having symptoms when I was 11. I was diagnosed when I was 12, and like you said, I was an athlete. I was not amazing, but you know, I played ice hockey, I played football, and I knew what that pain felt like. You know, I knew what I was supposed to feel like after playing hockey or getting hit in football, but I was waking up stiff and in pain, and it was strange. Like I was creaking and cracking. I remember my knees and my ankles were the first places that I felt were affected. I was getting up, my feet were hurting, my knees were hurting. I was walking across the bedroom and just creak, crack, 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 and I sounded like a 60-year-old man. It wasn't until it was like Easter weekend, I played a hardcore game of one-on-one kickball with one of my friends, and the next day we went to New York City to see the circus, and that was the activity that just kind of put me over the edge. I couldn't walk afterwards. My dad had to carry me back from the train that we took because I was living in New Jersey at the time, and I went to the doctor, and he looked at me and said, okay, no 12-year-old is supposed to feel this way. I think you've got ankylosing spondylitis. And they did all the testing they had at the time, and it confirmed the diagnosis. The problem is, back in 1994, they didn't have proper treatment for it. So the actual treatment he suggested was, sucks to be you, and just live your life the best that you can. So that's what I did, and for several years I had no idea that there was even a treatment. When I started my support group on Facebook back in 2007, I still didn't know there was treatments. You know, so I was all about, stretches, diet changes, like anything we can do to help. And they're like, have you tried biologic treatments? I was like, what are those? So I came in as trying to help people, but also as a way to help myself. And yeah, ever since then, I've just been kind of involved with using my disease to help others. You know, now there's tons of treatments. They're still trying to figure out what's the best treatment, but you know, it's just a lot of trial and error. So it's getting diagnosed, but treatment is still a little.
Yeah, I can see like. Yeah, I see like your approach to like stretching, and I would say like exercising. I think like kind of like the best thing you can do. But I also read an article that it would actually making your if I made your symptoms worse. So like, how does it make it worse? I feel like if you're improving like your strength and like posture, that will help. But like that doesn't seem to
yeah.
Like,
so again, like you said, the spine is mostly affected. It also goes after your major joints, like your knees, and your hips, and your shoulders. And there's also eye symptoms where your eyes become inflamed, and you have to use steroid eye drops. They always said just stay active, and that's what I did. I ran cross country, and I loved it. It was great. I was more stiff than I should have been. My coaches are all like, loosen up, you're pounding the pavement too hard. And it's like, I can't. This is the best I can do. I did well enough, though. But, yeah, I played golf, and the same thing. The coach was like, okay, loosen up. I'm like, I can't, because I'm permanently stiff. I don't have much of a choice. I was around 22 years old. I was out running, and I was out in the woods on a trail. And that's when my AS really caught up to me, and I started hurting way more, and I became stiff in the middle of a run, which had never happened before. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm done. I think this is my athletic career has come to an end, and it's time to focus on feeling better, of pushing through it.
So it is your treatment is not doing anything strenuous and anything that would induce pain, basically?
That's the idea. Now, sometimes you can't avoid strenuous work, like, for example, fixing up a 1860s log cabin and then moving into said cabin. I mean, that really hurt me, 'cause like my hands, I'd never really had hand symptoms before, but my hands became inflamed, and I thought maybe I had added a diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis on top of it. But it turns out I was just overburdening myself. I was working way too hard, and I should have taken a break but I didn't, because I'm stubborn. I pushed right through it, and it's a blessing and a curse. But yeah, I did the physical therapy route, and that was all about strengthening my core, because the idea is that if you can stand up straight, you can take a lot of weight off of your spine, and therefore you won't hurt as much. But yeah, physical therapy worked for a while. The problem is, though, you do something enough, and eventually it just catches up to you. That's the thing about conditions like ankylosing spondylitis, where you're doing great, you have a great day, you may have low symptoms. I have never been without symptoms since I was 12 years old. I'm 41 now, but so all these years of just living in pain and stiffness. But some days are better than others, and then you want to push through on those really good days. The problem is, though, that you end up hurting for a week or two afterwards. It's the pain I was feeling after the renovation and after the move. I mean, I couldn't sleep, which then greatly affected my mental health, because I was just in pain like I'd never felt all the time. So, it's this cascade of just, well, you do one thing, which then causes pain, which limits your sleep, which affects your mood, which turns you into a big jerk, which then, I'm a teacher, and I remember one time when things were feeling bad, I was pulled into the principal's office, and he was just basically like, "So what's up with the bad attitude?" It's like, well, that's professional. But, I'm not going to tell him, because I was, at that time, I was all about, don't tell anyone about AS. They're going to judge you. They're going to think that you're not, you're good enough to do your job. They're going to get rid of you. But that scared me, and, kind of going off in a different direction. But I got accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act, so that when things like this happened in the future, when my condition was affecting me at work, they're not going to fire me because of that, because I got it documented. I may completely screw up, and that's fine. Get rid of me, but I'm not going to let go. I'm not going to. I'm not going to let go. Be let go because of my condition. So I know coming out as disabled is not always the easiest thing. It can be scary, but if you do it right, you can get the help that you need. And got my blue parking placard, and I proudly use it, and everyone knows where my car is. I'm the guy out front.
Okay. Yeah. So it seems like your condition is more of like guess if let's say you're 100 with no ailment, so let's say your condition is like 50% most of the time. So you're kind of like you kind of know your limits. Like it's not like you have. I mean, some days you'll have like flares where you're hurting more than others, but most of it, I would just from talking to you for like 20 minutes and doing research, it seemed like your condition is kind of stable for the most part. Like you kind of know, like you just can't do these things anymore. It's kind of like, I don't know. Let's say you're like a retired person, like you can't like carry the box.
Right, and that is very important. Setting your limits. Like early on, I don't have kids of my own, but I have plenty of nieces and nephews, and I made it very clear to them early on. I have a no ups policy. I'm not going to pick you up. I'm not giving you a piggyback ride. As much as I would love to put you up on my shoulders, that's not happening, because I need to protect myself. I have, through my accommodations with ADA, I have an agreement that I cannot work with students who'd be physically challenging. I worked in an autism center for many years as a sped teacher, and it's a lot of getting down on the ground, picking up kids, changing diapers if need be. And I said, look, physically, I can't do that anymore. I had to set that limit. And it caused a lot of issues, because my team was like, oh, great, now he's not helping. That's what I needed to do for me. Yeah. You need to be a self-advocate. And tell the people around you, tell your doctor, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. Please do not ask me to do this, because it's going to cause me way more trouble in the future.
So I know, like, you said you dealt with pain since you were like 11, so maybe kind of a tricky question to ask, but like on a scale like a 1 to 10, like how much pain are you feeling like per day?
I mean, you know what? In the summer is okay. You know, I live in Missouri where it's humid all the time, and I don't know why humidity affects pain, but it does. You know, my physical therapist told me there actually was a study, and it has something to do with it wears down the coating on the nerves and this, that, and the other thing. You know, scientific stuff that I don't quite understand. But yeah, my pain level. I mean, I would say I'm a 6 out of 10. You know, like that pain scale is so subjective because, you know, one person's 9 might be another person's 5. You know, you don't really know. But yeah, I mean, for me, honestly, like I go, my days are up and down with pain. You know, I'll feel fine in the morning, and then I'll be hurting by 11 on the days that I might forget to take my meds. Holy cow, those are fun days. You know, I'll be driving to work, and I'm like, oh, no, I forgot to take my meds. This is going to be a great day. Because memory loss is also a symptom of ankylosing spondylitis, or brain fog, as we like to call it. So I forget things from time to time. But yeah, my pain is about a 5 or 6, but, you know, maybe I'm a 9 or 10 sometimes. You know, there are days where I'm crying. I can't get up out of bed. Fortunately, those don't happen as much, but it can still happen. And then the next hour, I'll feel fine. And again, fine is still someone else's worst day ever. But
that's strange. Like I'm sure you went on my profile and looked at my photos. Like, so what do you think of my photos? Because I feel like I can relate to you in some way of like stiffness and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, we all live with these chronic conditions, and, you know, sometimes we can relate with people, you know, and truthfully, we never know what another person is feeling. You know, I wrote an article once, I think it was titled, like, In Your Shoes, or Walking Someone Else's Shoes. You know, I see people who appear to have it so much worse than I do, but you know, maybe I just handle it better, you know? We don't know. Like, so the big message is, like, you know, we shouldn't judge people by, you know, how things look, you know? That's the whole thing. You know, this is Disability Awareness Month, and you know, a lot of people are talking about how, you know, talking about invisible illnesses. You know, just because I look good, just because I'm smiling right now, and, you know, I seem to have a lot of energy, you know, I'm hurting. You know, I mean, I'm hurting right now, but I do a great job of masking that pain. You know, especially as a teacher, I don't want to walk into the classroom and just go, kids, we're not doing anything today, leave me alone. No, you can't do that. You got to be positive all the time. Yeah, go team. Ow. I do this way too often. You know, I lift my hand over my head way too often, and then my shoulder cracks, and I'm like, oh, wish I hadn't done that. But I'm okay. I'll survive.
Oh no. One of the symptoms is like a hunchback. So do you have like a hunchback, or is it more invisible where you just look normal? You just blend it with every other human being?
For me, I will hunch. My spine, fortunately, has not been as affected as other people have been. You know, there's ankylosing spondylitis is part of as a subgroup of a umbrella disease known as axial spondyloarthritis, which is, I just learned how to say that like a couple months ago, you know, because it's a brand new term. They made that because not everyone with this condition has the fused spine, and a lot of doctors will say, well, we took the x-rays, your spine isn't fused, therefore you must not have it. But, you know, like I said, this is a progressive disease. You know, sometimes it moves very slowly, sometimes it can move quickly. You know, like I know an 11-year-old who already has a mostly fused spine. You know, for me, my cervical spine is a little compacted, my lumbar is a little bit compacted, but I don't have any fusion yet. That still doesn't mean that my spine isn't being affected. You know, I still have inflammation, I still have pain. You know, I have narrowing of the vertebrae, but you know, So no, I don't have a hunchback yet. Fortunately, I take biologics, which, you know, affect my immune system, which kind of slows down that autoimmune response that says, hey, let's attack the cartilage in the spine today. So fortunately, I started, I don't know, I mean, I can't even remember how long it's been. I think I've been on this treatment for about 8 years now, and it's helped, you know, but what works for one person may not work for another. So, you know, if there's any spondies out there, you know, listening to this, just because it worked for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And just because something didn't work for someone doesn't mean that it's not going to work for you. You know, my support group, which has, I mean, it's over 50,000 members, I think. I lost count because we had about 150 people every single day. But it's, you know, everyone's asking, hey, have you tried treatment ABC? You know, how has this worked for you? And, you know, we always have to write back and say, look, it's great, but it may not work for you. So, you know, just understand that there's a lot of other treatments out there. It's a lot of trial and error. You know, don't get frustrated just because something didn't work for you, because when I started, there was no treatment really. Now, I mean, I can't even count how many. I was filling out a survey of all the different biologic drugs that you can take for AS. I mean, there was like 30 plus on this list, and so many I've never even heard of, you know, so I'm still always learning. But talk to your doctor, say, hey, what are the treatment options? Let's try something out. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, give it a month or two and then move on to something else.
Yeah, I mean, so let's talk about you started the group in 2007. I think you were the first one to create the group, and then now you have like 50,000 members, which is amazing to have in just numbers. But like, I'm sure you have met your crazy people too that just like you sometimes look at like, oh, like, hey, try this, and you like roll your eyes and like, really, that's gonna work or something? Until you get one of those people.
You know, I do, and that's unfortunate, because I mean, I think some people really do mean well, and you know, there are people with this condition who have managed it completely through diet. I have a friend who, you know, she doesn't take any biologic meds, takes ibuprofen, and she's done great just eating clean. You know, like just. I don't know if it's like a paleo diet or what her keto. I'm not sure what exactly she's on, but she eats a lot of fruits and vegetables, and she's doing great. For me, starches are a trigger. Dairy is definitely a trigger. I should not be eating sugar, but I do, because sugar's good, you know. But yeah, you'll get people in the groups that are like, yeah, all you got to do is just give up carrots and you'll be fine. Okay, sure, if that's what you believe. You know, I'm open to anyone suggesting things. It's the people who I try to watch out for are the ones who say, this is the answer. You will be cured if you do this. And there is no cure for ankylosing spondylitis or axial spondyloarthritis. You have treatments to slow down the progression, but right now there's nothing. You know, some people go into remission, and some people live with it hardcore throughout their entire life. There is no cure, you know, so I always tell people, watch out for people who are preaching cures, because chances are they're going to make a little bit of money on the other side. You know, there's a lot of people say, oh yeah, there's this doctor in India, stabs you in the back 15 times, you know.
Always, there's always a doctor.
and you'll be fine. And it's like, really? Okay, well, you want to get stabbed in the back 15 times, go for it. But I'm going to keep trying what I'm doing. And
yeah, I think there's like a balance sometimes of like, I don't know, let's just say chicken nuggets. If you stop eating chicken nuggets, it would cure your disease. And like, I mean, that sounds great, but like, what if you really love chicken nuggets? You know, you're not. I mean, maybe if the pain was really bad, you would eliminate it. But like, I don't think you would want to give up chicken nuggets. Like, you would have some and then deal with the side effects of your pain, because you did love chicken nuggets. So I think sometimes there's the balance of like, I don't want to sacrifice that much of my life for this, because like, I'd rather deal with the pain and have some.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I went to a nutritionist once, and you know, he ran all these tests, and you know, the validity of these tests, who can really say? As my allergist says, there's no actual test. You know, like, what does intolerant mean exactly? For one person, it may be a rash. For another person, it may be complete anaphylaxis. You know, you don't know. But I went to the nutritionist once, and he said, okay, I'm sensing the starches, definitely dairy, probably give up sugar. And I would tell you go gluten-free too, but I'm afraid that if I take that away, all you'll have left is water and dirt. So let's not sacrifice too much. Yeah, I should not eat sugar, but it makes me happy. And yes, I will hurt afterwards, guaranteed. You know, I should definitely never have dairy, but when there's that ice cream bar sitting in the freezer and no one's going to notice that it's gone, and I just sneak it, I will hurt. And I have to remind myself, if you do this, you're going to have a bad day. And so I spend a lot of time looking at that freezer and going, I don't need this. I don't need this. And I walk away. But yeah, I don't know if I could give up chicken nuggets.
There you go. You never too old for them, and have their. I like the ranch with it, or ketchup, or barbecue sauce, or whatever.
Exactly. You like. Yeah, I know. It's such a simple meal, and it tastes so good. And I don't think I could give up things like that. Because I remember one time I was at school. My birthday was coming up, and they knew that I was dairy free and I was sugar free and all that stuff. And they said, what are we going to have for your birthday party? And I said, peanut butter and pickles. And they're like, and I just did it because of the alliteration, but I was like, you know what? I like peanut butter. I like pickles. Let's just do peanut butter and pickles. So that's what I got for my birthday. It was a bunch of jars of peanut butter and a couple, jars of pickles.
Oh, my God.
Great.
Okay. That's interesting choice. And, okay. I don't even know how to respond to that. I'm lost.
Yeah, it's...
So I deal with my...
Go ahead. I was just saying that, because I
we...
this... Yeah.
There's a little delay in it, so that's why I start talking and then you talk...
100%. It's your... It's okay. All right, fine. I'm going to go. Yeah, it was for me, for a while, the whole diet thing, that was my biggest struggle. I like food. I like eating. And I hate so much that something that I enjoy doing causes me pain, So, so I want to eat that ice cream. I want to eat that cake. But I know I shouldn't do it. So, I guess, saying I want peanut butter and pickles for my birthday was just a way of saying that I'm still going to enjoy this, and I'm going to make you all a little uncomfortable because that was such a weird request. But that's me. I like to keep people on their toes, and I'm not normal. It's like I try to be as weird as possible. So if they want to know me as the peanut butter and pickle guy, then fantastic. I'll take that.
You're married and you have a nice property and everything. So I feel like you made it.
It's I can't complain too much. I live out in the middle of nowhere. I have a couple acres. And I only take care of about one out of the 3 acres that we have, and I just let the wildlife take the rest of it. But the peace, the quiet, I get to go outside. I can't complain too much about that. I'd love to be able to live completely pain free, but
let's go back to your pain levels because you were talking about before, you don't like dealing with kids. You have to lift them up and stuff. And you don't carry heavy boxes. But then why did you buy a farm property where that required a lot more heavy labor? I know that you have during the article you were saying your wife wanted to get chickens and stuff, and you might get a goat and stuff, and it required a lot of bending down over, and then you also remodel the place, and I'm just thinking that would cause you so much pain. To why did you choose to do a project that would input too much pain?
That's a great question. I don't know. Why did I do that? You've really opened my eyes to this. But in all seriousness, I get a lot of strength from nature, and even though it hurts me, mowing the lawn and planting stuff and growing stuff, that brings me joy. And I need to have just a little bit of joy in my life. And I hurt no matter what I do, but I've always said that I would much rather hurt because of something that I did, productive. I mowed the lawn and now my property looks better. I cleared, a tree fell down and I carved it up into firewood. I'm going to hurt because I did that, but I would much rather hurt because of something that I did than just the fact that I woke up in the morning. It's the outside, animals, nature, that gives me strength. And even though it's going to hurt me, I think the joy that I get out of it outweighs the pain that I'm going to feel later on. But you're 100% right. I think about the idea of getting chickens and all the stuff that has to be done, and just thinking about that makes my back hurt. And you're probably right. Maybe I will not. Maybe I won't cross that. Maybe I'm just going to sit down and think it's not worth it. Just like looking at that freezer full of ice cream. Maybe it's not worth it. But, I'm definitely going to tell my wife, look, you want the chickens, you're taking care of the chickens.
I think you're just going to do it anyway, just because you just mentioned that you're going to be in pain regardless of what you do, so you might as well. The big thing, I think, is just getting that satisfaction out of it. Kind of weird that we don't really remember pain. We kind of remember, this day was really bad, but we kind of really don't remember it, but we can kind of remember happiness and how that feels. You always want to reach that happiness high, and I think you get a lot of that happiness high from doing chores and stuff. I think that's also just like a man thing. You just want to you want to do something and see it. So when you mow the grass, you see it. Hey, I did that. That's awesome. That gives me satisfaction of it. I can enjoy it. Where the pain is you can't
exactly. Yeah, I'm going to be in pain no matter what. So I might as well, just still live my life and do what I can. It's and eventually when I win the lottery and I get my riding lawnmower, or I don't know, pay someone to mow the lawn for me, that'd be great, but I'm not quite there yet. Like I said, I'm a teacher.
You're not gonna do that. You're still gonna do that.
Even just sitting down too long hurts a lot, so I want to write a book, I want to tell my story, and but sitting there and typing, my back hurts, makes my arms hurt, makes my fingers hurt. I can only do what I can do at that moment. But slow and steady wins the race. As long as I keep going, it's better than stopping. I think that was what I did for many years. I think even though running probably hurt me in the long run, in the short amount of time, it actually helped me because it gave me that freedom of out running and running along the roads and through the woods and up and down hills and through that made me happy. And I think the physical activity did keep my AS at bay for a while. And then one day my ankle broke. I like to say that I tripped over the foul line playing basketball because legit that's what happened. I was just walking and my ankle gave out. After I actually got x-rays and they said, it looks like you actually broke your ankle a while ago and it just suddenly gave out for some reason. Sounds about right, because that's the funny thing about living with pain is that you're so used to it that when things like that happen, the minor injuries here and there, well, I'm in pain anyway, I don't tend to notice it. It's probably just my AS anyway. But yeah, my ankle broke, and that was the first time I had ever stopped moving. And I think that's the time that my AS said, all right, it's time to take over. Because I really was never the same after that physically. So, I try to keep moving. I don't want to stop, because I'm afraid if I stop, then I'll never start back up again.
Well, you definitely gotta keep moving for the rest of your life with your property. That property is never gonna not give you work. That's always gonna be work, no matter what you do. Keep moving.
Yeah, I keep moving. And I mow the lawn, and I feel better about that. I have a battery operated mower that only gives me about 45 minutes of run time, and that's all I need. Just do 45 minutes. Every other day or every day. Get my exercise. I get moving. I get the satisfaction of saying that I did something. And then, but yeah, fortunately also because we're in this drought, the grass has not been growing.
Well, you have this, that works for you. But I'm sure I give you satisfaction that you were able to do a podcast today. So before I take the mic away from you, is there anything you want to say, promote? Any words of wisdom? The winning lottery numbers?
Yes, the winning lottery numbers are 7, 8, 9. Guaranteed, 100%. No, no. I just want to tell there's a message I like to share with any patient is that you know yourself better than anybody else does, and if if you go to the doctor because you're not feeling right and the doctor dismisses your feelings, your doctor works for you. It's not the other way around. So don't let your doctor leave without making you feel that that you've been heard. The other advice I give is that, like we were talking about, you don't always remember the pain, so keep a journal. Write down everything that you're feeling so that when you go to see the doctor, you can tell them, hey, 7 days ago I was feeling this way, now I'm feeling this way. Especially when you're trying to get a diagnosis of ankylosing spondylitis, they're going to ask you, well, how is your morning stiffness? How do you, does it get better with exercise? That's what they always say about AS, and I've never understood it, because I'm not stiff in the morning, and yet I get stiff throughout the day, which doesn't sound right, but everyone's different, like I said. So I'd say advocate for yourself. You are the author of your own story, so let people know how you're feeling. Don't wear the mask of everything's fine when things are not fine. You are not a burden to other people just because you have a medical condition. Do everything that you can to be the best person you can be. I think that's the advice that I just want to leave. As going to my educated old man voice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Jeff, so much for giving me your time and expertise. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you want to follow Jed and talk to him, I'll put his social media links in the description below. And I'll see you
Bye. Thanks for joining me. Thanks.
Bye.